And for the main event, Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. Covington coming in as a negative 310 favorite versus Masvidal plus 250 underdog. I cannot wait to see these guys go at it. I've been seeing so much of the trash talk between them back and forth, but also so much of the analysis from other commentators on YouTube and in podcasts and things like that. And I have so much information in my head about this fight that I don't even know what to think anymore. I feel like in the very beginning, I was like, Covington definitely has a decisive advantage, being the pressure volume striker. That makes it really hard for, a really good striker to find openings. And, once the striker starts to open up, that's what leaves the opening for the, takedowns that Covington is so good at getting. And we saw that, especially in Covington's last fight with Usman, where he did, the stand-up striking game and kind of went toe-to-toe with Usman, but actually did go for some of those takedowns. And, we've seen in other fights in the past with Covington, like I'm thinking like against Robbie Lawler, where even if it is just a pure stand-up fight, Lawler's a pretty good stand-up fighter. And Lawler seemed like he couldn't throw anything during that match just because of the pressure and the volume that Covington put on him. So, even if you do have an advantage in terms of striking technique, it's the cardio and the pressure that really becomes the equalizer, I feel like, for Covington in the stand-up. And with Masvidal, I feel like, he could definitely still win. Either one of these guys could absolutely win. Masvidal has the knockout power. He has the technique, the accuracy, and he's gone up against other wrestlers before. And Masvidal knows what to expect, which is the volume pressure striking and the takedown. So Masvidal could Ben Askren Colby Covington. It's a possibility, because he knows it's coming. So he's going to be looking for those kinds of opportunities. I mean, he knew it obviously with Usman. That Usman's a wrestler, and he couldn't quite find the right opportunity with Usman. I feel like in the first fight with Usman, there were a few times where he did actually find the openings and hit Usman, but Usman has such a good chin that he didn't end up going down. He looked like he got stunned a few times. So if Covington's chin holds up, I feel like Masvidal is going to, find a few of those openings with the striking. But if Covington's chin holds up, he's going to be able to get his hands on him, get a hold of him, take him down, grind him, through five rounds. I'm not sure that either guy is going to get the finish. I think if the fight is going to be finished, Masvidal's probably more likely to finish it than Colby Covington, but I do think Covington's more likely to win the match overall. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting because in watching the embedded show, the countdown show, all these things, you learn so much more about these fighters than you just do from Googling it. And for any of you guys who don't know, we're from Oregon, podcasting, and Colby Covington, wrestled at Oregon State, went to Springfield, and where he had, great success. In trying to mirror that, Jorge Masvidal has brought in Bo Nickel, who is a Penn State wrestler, 3 Big Ten championship, great wrestler. And so in watching the shows, I see how Masvidal is preparing by bringing in this highly accredited, top wrestler. It's hard to find anyone who doesn't think Bo Nickel is top 10 wrestler, right, of all time, or for one of the top. And in watching that, I saw Covington. I'm like, who's he bringing in to train with him? And no one. Masvidal has a unique set of skills. Great striking, great kicks. He showed that against Diaz. He even showed that against Usman. I looked at their fights against Usman as kind of how can I compare them? Against Usman, Covington was switching stances, hands high, elbows up. He does a good job of not getting hit. I was surprised again in Usman fights, he just hands up, hands behind the head, just always, he knows he's going to get hit, and almost his fear of getting hit just gives him this crazy defense. And then he's able to counter from that because, he blocks and then he launches in, swings in. And Covington in the last couple fights has had great set of kicks. I don't know where you learned them, I'm excited to see him because it's just like you don't expect a wrestler to throw kicks like that, and his striking isn't too bad either. With Masvidal, granted he lost against Usman in a more devastating fashion, but I think it's because him and Usman were trying to knock each other out. They had something to prove to each other, and with that approach, Usman came out on top. Masvidal, great leg kicks, left cross, jab into the chest. The thing that I'm going to be worried about is with Colby's pressure, he is just hands high, coming forward at you straight. Masvidal likes to kind of show off his abilities in the boxing area by keeping his hands low at times. And against Usman, it got him knocked out. I don't think Covington has the power to knock him out, but I think he's got the power to rock him, to hurt him, to get him on the back foot and then go for a takedown. So I know that there's a lot of hatred, a lot of anger, a lot of hostility in this. What I do want to see is Masvidal take this serious, because I believe, watching the Diaz fight, he was like, this guy's going to come at me. I'm going to fight. I'm going to take it to him. And against Usman, almost like, yeah, I did well with you on a short notice. Like, I could easily beat you. I hope he doesn't have that mentality coming in here and be like, if they won, whatever the story is in the gym, who got the better who, I don't care. Like, both of you guys better bring your A game, because I hope that, like, I don't want to see a death in the ring, but according to their predictions, it's going to be one. So, like...
Yeah, I another thing to keep in mind, too, is these guys were training partners, and one thing about who got the better of who during training is you got to remember there's a difference between training wrestling and training striking. And when they're sparring, they most likely never went 100% all out in their striking, but they probably almost guaranteed went 100% all out on the wrestling. So in the training room, Colby probably got the better of Masvidal because he's the better wrestler, but also that's the only area where you can go 100%, because you can go 100% wrestling without hurting the guy. If you go 100% in striking, right, you can't give the guy concussion. You can't hurt him. That's not part of, you'd be a bad partner in the training room.
The worst.
So it's one of those things where they probably both know it happened in the training room, but also how does that translate into the ring? And also Masvidal was a weight class lower when they were training together. So you've got those two factors where even though they train together, that helps them to know what each other's strengths are, but I don't think that tells them exactly how it's going to play out in the real fight, in real competition, when Masvidal is one weight class up and he can go 100% with strikes, whereas it's likely they never did that inside the training room. So there's that part of it as well to take into account.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see all the background, all the, like, who can handle the energy, the expectations, because they're high. They're high. Both guys, Masvidal, I believe, is like 36 or 37, and Covington's a little bit younger, but I don't know what happens to the winner in this. Like, Usman's still the champ. Both guys have lost to Usman twice. I don't know. Like, I want to see them win. I want to see who wins. But also, I'm just like, this does nothing to clear up the title picture for me. Like, I want to see, like, who they would put against each other next. Like, throw the winner against Diaz or Conor all day long. Like, let's just see good fights like that. No more fighting for the title. Like, it'd be great to see them, like, do something different to Usman. But Usman is just on another level at this point. So, what's your prediction? Who are you calling for this one?
So my prediction is I think the odds are right. Covington's going to win this one. I think it's going to be that volume pressure. He's going to get a few openings, and if he doesn't knock Covington out, then Covington's going to win with the pressure striking, and he'll probably take Masvidal down, hold him down, and just kind of do some ground and pound. I don't know if this is going to be the greatest fight ever, because one of the things, I don't think Covington actually hates Masvidal as much as it seemed like he hated Usman.
Yeah.
And if you remember the first fight with Usman, part of it too was they're both wrestlers, so neither one of them really had a great advantage. So maybe that was a reason to not use the wrestling, and they just did a stand-up brawl, stand-up war. But I feel like Covington has a clear advantage with wrestling in this one versus Masvidal. So unless he's, terrible at strategy and just throws caution to the wind, or tries to make a great fight to do purely a stand-up battle, I feel like he's got to take him to the ground, which means it's probably not going to be as exciting as those last two matches against Usman. Although I still think it's going to be a great fight, and there's so many things that could happen with it. I just don't think it's going to be quite the war that it was with Usman. I think either Masvidal is going to find that one opportunity, take the shot, it'll be a KO surprise victory for Masvidal, or Covington's going to take him down and just ground and pound him, and it'll be what everyone expected. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I think Covington is going to win by pressure, win by amount of output, volume of punches. I don't see him stopping Masvidal, but I see him winning and beating him, and majority decision win. 3 if not 4 rounds due to control. I see Masvidal getting a good shot in or two, and maybe doing enough to win that round. But it's Covington has come back from some adversity before, and we really haven't seen that from Masvidal yet, where he was beat down and then came back. Whereas Covington, we've seen him beat down and come back and then still keep attacking. So